Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today. Stephanie Buckland here, bringing you another Connecting to Healing interview. Today I have the pleasure of interviewing the lovely Adrienne Prince of Team-Gaia.
Hey there, Stephanie. Thank you so much for having me on. I look forward to having a great conversation with you.
Me too. So let's talk a little bit about your healing journey, because this is actually the point of the Connecting to Healing interviews, is to connect the people to the healing and connect the healing to the people. And also, it's a story that I've heard so many times from other healers, that it's the healer be healed story. And it's beautiful. So I'd love to hear about your journey. So when did it officially begin?
Well, this is a great question, because basically my healing journey, I guess you could say, is one of learning to get comfortable with the calling that I was given. How do I say this? I started getting visits from angels and ascended masters ever since I was about 7 or 8 years old, and maybe even earlier. I seem to remember something about Archangel Michael, about 4 inches tall, doing leaps and somersaults on my crib railing when I was really little. And he would talk to me, and like he was very playful. And I think maybe it was so you could keep a baby's attention, just like being very, very interesting. And so that was really cool. But the hard part about all of this, I loved getting the intel. By the way, this was like in the early to mid 70s, which is when I was growing up. I loved getting the intel and I loved having the divine connection. But the really hard part, and something that I'm sure a lot of your audience may relate to, is I didn't know if it was real or if I was just nuts. And so it took a lot of courage and a lot of years to like really lean into this and stop accepting the default definition of reality, the consensus reality of this is what's real, this is what's not, this is what's possible for humans, and this is what isn't. And just go, okay, well, what lights me up? What makes me feel real? What makes me feel like there's a future worth having? And so I took all the things that these angels and galactics had taught me and started to work it into some kind of message that I could really share with people. And it actually turned into what you could almost call like a global mission. And but the real healing journey had to do with just accepting that my reality was real enough to bring uplift to other people, not to mention being like really real, like this is what we're going through now. As the decades have rolled by, and now I'm in my mid to late 50s, which is tough, right? Like to find myself really coming out of my cocoon in my late 50s. In some ways, it's really perfect. But I've been like wrestling with this calling since I was, 7 or 8 years old. But wow. Now we're all talking about ascension, and we're talking about phase shift, and we're talking about, going into uncharted reality, and everything's happening at just the right time.
It really is. So where are you on this healing journey right now?
Well, I have to say, Stephanie, every single day I still struggle with how do I put this. I struggle with the dominant reality still, in terms of like, how do I put this message into words that people can receive? And it's been a longer and longer, how do I say, higher and higher journey of really just trusting myself and not very, very gently giving less and less of a fuck about what other people might tell me is real or not. And I mean, there are people way ahead of me and they're just talking full galactic. But for me, I have to love myself enough to let what's coming through come through in a gentle and organic way. So for decades, I didn't even let myself read other people's material. I really wanted to get to the core of what they taught me and what I knew was true, because that's the final frontier. It's inside of us.
So true. Yeah, I remember you were the first person who ever told me that this was an Earth school. And that was more than a decade ago, I think, when we originally met.
Yeah, and we're all in a school to become more and more ourselves, basically.
Yes. So how much of your experience with healing informs your current business and lifestyle?
Well, this is awesome. It's kind of nuts. So I've been working on this global messaging level for a really long time. In fact, my guides had told me around age 8, hey, we want you to tell everyone that we're here. Let's get this. We want you to be a major messenger. And I had already been sexually abused and physically abused, and I was being bullied at school as well because I was super, super different. And my reality was super different. And I was like a tinier person. And I was like, I'm sorry, you guys, I can't do that. I apologize, but I've got major dents in my psyche from things that have happened to me. And I just don't think I can get in front of a bunch of people and tell them that angels are real and that they're here to evolve the planet. Like, I didn't even have the words. We've been building the vocabulary over the past 4 or 5 decades of how to even talk about this stuff. Mm-hmm. So to deregulate that trauma, and to really look at, where do I artificially constrain myself? Where do we draw the little limits around our world, and then just sort of start poking at them and really allowing myself and us as a collective to really move into what feels good, what feels really good, and get rid of those shackles of what we've been told is real. Because now we know that we were told those things so that we'd stay in a slave consciousness and not become the super creators that we are.
Definitely, most definitely. So what products or services do you currently offer in your business?
Well, thank you. My core offering is something called Team-Gaia, which is an international community of people who are spiritual but not religious, that they may have been on the left, but now they're understanding that both the left wing and the right wing have been psychological manipulations, and that there's actually a new way forward where we really take a look at the propaganda we've been fed and really start to think for ourselves and evaluate for ourselves how we feel about health, how we feel about spirituality, how we feel about how to make a living, really questioning all the assumptions that we were told. So Team-Gaia is a wonderful, confidential, off social media community where we can share news, we can share ideas, and we have an open roundtable every week to discuss things. It also includes a 30-day Gaia Ninja boot camp, which is a mini course. It's just, 5 minutes a day of interesting little leveraged activist tweaks that you can do to kind of poke little holes in the system and get in touch with your self-expression and your ninja planet shifting quantum abilities. Because I feel we're here to completely rewrite Earth's operating system, and we do it from within. So one of my offerings that's on the side is called Your Instant Life Upgrade. And it's a mini course that is 6 core questions you can ask yourself that when they're in alignment, your life will upgrade within days, possibly weeks. But it actually up levels you almost instantaneously as soon as these 6 dimensions are dialed in. I also offer something called the Genius Session, which is a 90-minute Zoom call where we discuss your soul's calling and how to monetize it so that you can make a living being yourself. So that's like part business coaching and part psychic seeing. And I just love doing those. And those are available on my website as well. And then something even weirder has happened, that I've actually gotten into hand reading and card reading again after 30 years of just not doing it. I came back into it for fun at New Year's, and now I find out that I've got this amazing knack for that. And every single time we do it, the healings are just incredible. So I look at people's hands, and especially their right and their left, and I see where you came from into this life and what you've done with it. And the information that comes through is astonishing. I'm just loving it so much. So those are the things that I do.
Nice. That's a whole lot of yumminess. That's so cool.
Thank you.
Wow. So how long have you been working at this?
Well, Stephanie, you and I have known each other for probably about 12 years, and you're one of the people who really started introducing me into public speaking more and more. And so you got me kind of out of my shell back when we lived in Ventura County, and that was such a blessing. So I just love sharing this message with people. It's been about 12 years, and it's always exciting to see how a new audience will find what resonates for them. And they really teach me by every single time. It's like watching a flower open. Every single time that we recreate this magic of remembering who we are, it's just been amazing every single time. I just keep learning and learning.
That's awesome. So what is your why? I mean, it sounds like you may have already answered this question, but in other words, what keeps you motivated to keep going?
Well, we can always dig deeper, that's for sure. What I think keeps me motivated is that I've noticed that the balance of what we call normalcy, of, you know, what the consensus reality will allow for us to express about ourselves, it keeps rolling. So as I started to recognize that maybe some of this stuff is actually true, I would lean into it and I would do some tinkering, what I call tinkering, on the world scale templates. And it takes a lot of strength and it takes a lot of self-love to go, you know what, it would be so great if the world was like this. And I would actually get to a particular place within my body-mind connection where I could move little pieces. And now we've been watching how when we do that, things are really evolving. So what keeps me going is realizing that we are not in the same world that we were when we were born. That great improvements, you know, not everything's perfect because we're actually having a showdown with the oppressive power elite right now. So things don't look great all the time because we're just about to win. So we're sort of in that darkness before the dawn, but just watching how the world's been actually responding to the spiritual work that we do definitely keeps me going.
Beautiful. Yes. And all the more reason for us light workers to just keep on keeping on, right? Yes.
You are making a difference. You were born for a reason, and the more that you can tune into it, and there's no right or wrong too. We get so frustrated, like I'm not living my purpose enough, or I don't even know what it is. We go through some real angst about that, but actually just following what you love and developing yourself as you can in a purely organic way is making a huge difference on the planet. And we are so close to completely breaking through to that Earth 2.0. And it's so awesome to watch how more people are taking control of their health, how more people are trusting their dreams and their intuitions. It's so awesome.
Yeah.
So please keep doing what you're doing. Keep following that little nudge of rightness inside of yourself, and you're gonna have the adventure of a lifetime, basically.
That's awesome. Whew. So what or whom inspires you the most?
Well, you know who's really making me feel like safe to continue is that YouTuber Lori Ladd. She speaks about the collective and about the transition we're going through. And she's so awesome. A lot of times she doesn't wear makeup. She just turns her camera on wherever she is and she'll start talking like she's just picking up the thread of thought from wherever she was before. And she's gotten just so comfortable on camera and so clear with her speaking. And she just makes it up as she goes. Her progression as a YouTuber and messenger is so organic that she gives me a lot of safety and inspiration to know that we can all really do this our own way.
Definitely. Yes. So who do you love? Who?
Whew.
That part out. What? So what do you love most about being a healing practitioner?
Well, I think we're all in it for those aha moments where somebody sees or feels something that they always felt was true, but it hadn't been acknowledged. I like to say, this is kind of my own little inside joke, that a psychic practitioner is good when they tell you what you already know, which means like the answers are already inside of yourself. But what's really fun is the opportunity to be able to frame the information from such a different angle than the person is used to coming from, that they get a whole new look at themselves and their lives and their possibilities, so that they see them. I'm hoping that they can see themselves just a little bit more the way that their higher self sees them. And that just is such a rush. And I learn every single time I work with anybody, and the sweetness from the divine that comes through is really moving.
That it is, absolutely. So have you ever wanted to give up?
Oh, all the time, especially when it comes to the being public part and getting the website dialed in part and having an info product that actually serves and does a good job. So I am super comfortable working with people one-on-one in person, because that light is so real and it's so alive. But to actually do the professional packaging it up and like getting it out there in like this really polished way, that's been a really big learning curve for me. And especially when it regards our technology and, writing the website or developing the courses. So sometimes I just think, and also as a messenger, I don't know if you've gone through this too, Stephanie, but during COVID, it was quite confrontational. Sometimes it can be very scary to be a light worker, because if you are here for the light, then there's a whole bunch of archontic and demonic influences that are arrayed against us. They come in the form of self-doubt or judgment from other people. Or, of course, when people are really amazing messengers, they might get taken out or imprisoned. So that we have, when you're a truther, you have to learn to get used to and get over a certain level of paranoia, right? Where there's times when I really started speaking out a lot, and I would get mysterious phone calls. And I was like, you know what, though? I'm not going to disguise my name. I'm not going to take on an alias. I'm not going to water down my message. I'm just going to start getting comfortable with that level of baseline anxiety and get so deeply anchored that it's worth it. Like, this is the final battle. What else were we going to do that was more important, So right. Yes, I want to quit all the time, but it's too exciting and too fun and everything's in the balance. Pardon me. Hotter.
Okay. If you could give one piece of advice for someone who is just starting their own healing journey, or even their own wellness business, what would it be?
Well, if I wanted to, if people want to have a lucrative business that really moves them forward, you have to find and supports them. We have to find that little place where what we love to do and what we're called to do meets with the need of the people that we want to serve. So really paying attention to what is it that people are wanting and needing and asking for help with. And so going to Facebook groups and watching what people are complaining about and saying that they feel so lonely or they feel so isolated or nobody understands them or they can't talk to their families because nobody gets them. Those are the kind of things that really inspired me to start my business. And I feel that the moment that we start offering things that other people can say yes to, the sooner we start earning and really feeling successful and meaningful and starting to pick up momentum.
Definitely. How can people reach you?
Well, my main website is team-gaia.com. And the reason that I call it Team Gaia is because we're a team, and what we're doing is we're actually in the process of helping Mother Gaia have the life, the actualized life that she always wanted to have. Like, it's no fun being a colonized planet. She certainly hasn't enjoyed all the raping and pillaging and the sucking of the resources and the lack of appreciation. And there's so much, the psychological operations. So what I really take a stand for is that Gaia is sovereign and we are sovereign. And so that's why I call it Team Gaia. A lot of us operate from behind the scenes. So I call us Team Gaia ninjas, because I feel that the reason that we're winning this culture war is that a lot of us are introverts and we kind of come at it from our own organic angle. And we've been all operating kind of under the radar. And that's how come it's working, is because our egos were not that powerful, but our truth, our sense of truth was. So team-gaia.com is the best way to reach me. And I also have a YouTube channel under the name Adrienne Prince, and we can spell that out in the comments. I'm trying to think of other ways. Oh, yes, of course. Please email me directly at teamgaiawins@gmail.com. And if you have any questions or anything that I can assist you with at all, just drop me an email and I'd love to hear from you.
Excellent. Well, we've come to the last question. So do you have any final thoughts that you'd like to leave with the audience?
Well, I feel like I've given you guys a lot to chew on, but the main message that I really have is trust yourself, trust that inner journey, follow the pull of your fascination and passion. We're all here. What my guides used to tell me was that we're in a group art project, like that our earth experience is like this great big shared canvas or sandbox where we're all contributing and creating this wonderful heaven on earth project by using our talents and trusting this little tiny silver cord of truth as we perceive it. So you don't need to have a religion or any non-religion either, that there's a million bazillion silver cords that came right from you to source. And as long as we awaken to how to follow that truth, then you're going to have such a wonderful adventure. We're all going to have such a wonderful adventure creating the new world that we want to live in.
So totally agree. Yes.
Yes, and it's so exciting because everyone's got a different angle. Everyone's got a different perspective and a whole different set of fascinations. Healing our trauma and healing self-doubt is like the #1 work. So people who are trauma healers are going to be very much in demand in the next decade, I feel. But people who want to farm, who want to garden, who want to teach children how to think for themselves and create freely, every single industry is going to go through a major change into a higher level of expression, so that all those old industries are going to like morph into something that really helps. And that's going to come from your passion.
Awesome. Yes. So follow your passion, people.
Yes. Easy, feel good message.
Exactly. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Adrienne. This was fun.
Thank you, Stephanie. I love talking with you.